Don't try to cherry pick from different systems that are out there because you heard how good it works. You were at a seminar and so talked about this 10-step process that they're closing at 85%. They brought their company from 30 to 85 and now they're killing it, and just think that you're going to grab that without understanding all of the other components that that company has in place currently to support that strategy.
Let's go!
Entrepreneurs are the place to be. You gotta push. Yo, keep up the faith, but move hastily. Push. Live out your passions and take your dreams. Push. Overcome struggles and celebrate victories. Right. Push.
Hello?
Hey, is this Mike?
Yeah, it's Michael.
Hey, Mike, this is Chris. It's Roofing Brand. Joey Jordan told me to give you a call.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Good. I apologize. I just sat down to eat, but I'm talking. I'll try not to check too much in your ear.
It's all good.
I'm a very, very big review guy. I believe in having strong reviews on Google and Yelp. People are going to reviews now, and I expressed to Joey and his dad that we need to get those great reviews right.
I agree on the reviews. You know, reviews are super important. Obviously, you gotta have clients to get reviews. Reviews come from a good experience overall.
Right.
And like I've kind of been coaching Joey, you know, a little bit on, hey, you need to have a culture there. You need to have a comprehensive plan from top to bottom where everything goes hand in hand. Everybody understands that this is the way we do things here. This is our system. This is our process, because without that, the user experience is going to fail.
So I don't care what you're selling, what your product is, what your brand is, what your company is, what you do. If you're selling something, you need to have a cohesive strategy when it comes to marketing and sales. Without it, you're fishing in the dark, you're wandering down a path that you don't know where it's going to take you, and it's going to become a problem. So a lot of times what we see is that people so quickly want to take different pieces of different strategies. I heard this from so-and-so and it sounded super awesome. I'm going to bring that to my marketing team. I'm going to bring that to my sales team. We're going to implement that and we're going to kill it because we got that now. But that doesn't work. That's not how things work. That's not what it's meant to do. What you got to understand is that if you have a marketing strategy, it needs to work with your sales strategy. No sales come without marketing, right? You got to market for your sales. So you need to have a strategy for marketing that's going to work with your sales system and plan and the way your company is set up to operate. You can go out there and you can research, what the biggest companies in the world, what marketing strategy, what sales strategy, what they're using, and then try to implement that into what you got. But if you don't have the exact resources it takes, the personnel, the people, the infrastructure, all those things to put that into place, it's not going to work. You have to come up with a plan and a strategy that's going to work for your company, your brand, whatever it is, the way you are right now, or the way that you know that you can be. Meaning that if you know you can put these resources into place, fine. Go get that strategy, put that strategy in place, and do it. But if you don't think you can get the proper personnel, the proper infrastructure within your company to do that, don't waste your time. Work with what's in your reach right now, and you have to build a cohesive strategy. So when you talk about marketing, I don't care if you're going to do self-generated leads to your salespeople, or if you're going to do inbound leads to your salespeople and send them out. You have to have a strategy that generates that, and you have to have a strategy that then works with your sales team in the way they do their business, the way this sales team closes jobs, the way they do their presentations, the way they approach the clients. Because if you're used to operating off of a self-generated, say it's door to door, and you've got your marketing coming door to door, so you've got this sales rep or whoever it is that's going, outbound and grabbing those potential clients and bringing them in, the presentation for that is going to be much different than a presentation if you were invited to the home to sit down at a table where it's expected and go through a proper process. Versus if you just showed up, you just knocked their door 5 seconds ago, they're not going to immediately allow you into their home. It's not that you can't get into the home, because that's where business is done, at the kitchen table. It's not that you can't do all that. That's not the point at all. The point is, each one of those processes to get there are very different. So don't try to cherry pick from different systems that are out there because you heard how good it works. You were at a seminar and so talked about this 10-step process that they're closing at 85%. They brought their company from 30 to 85 and now they're killing it, and just think that you're going to grab that without understanding all of the other components that company has in place currently to support that strategy. Because without that, it doesn't work. And so often, that's the part that's left out of the conversation, is what did we build? What did we put in place first to be able to allow ourselves to be able to run a system like that?
Listen, I've done everything you can imagine, whether, whatever it is, and a good portion of systems that are out there, some of the companies that are out there come from things I've created. There's guys running companies all over the country that were sales reps of mine in the past that adopted a system that I put in place. So, to me, like I say, it doesn't matter. And all of them are good if you have all the things in place that go with them the right way. You just can't. The thing you can't do is you can't cherry pick the things that sound good and just expect it to all work.
I guarantee it didn't happen overnight. If it's that good, somebody put a lot of time and effort into it, and they built an infrastructure around it to support it. Certain systems are going to need this many admin people, this many marketing people, this whatever it is. I don't care. It's going to need support. All the way down to the same guy knocks the door, the same guy closes the deal, to the same guy runs the job. It can be all of that depending upon where you're at. Just understand where you're at right now and perfect that piece of it. Because if you're running a one-man show, that's fine. But don't go to some conference, get all jacked up on something, thinking that you're going to take that, put it in place by just hiring a couple of salespeople to do that stuff. Because what you're not hearing is about all the people who are supporting all those salespeople. Okay, so you got to be keeping that in mind when you're doing it. And the biggest thing with any of this is you got to be consistent. Once you put these things into play, if you got a marketing and sales plan that's working cohesively, you got to be consistent with it over and over and over. Stop that bouncing around. Stop going to every seminar to learn about something that you got in place, and now you're going to hear about the next best thing, and you're going to try that because yours isn't quite working out the way you wanted. If you've seen that somebody's had proven success with something and you can replicate the resources that they have in place to gain that success, and you completely understand the system and process, I mean completely, you know why this worked, why it doesn't work, what's required, what just happened there, why exactly did this person say yes, or why exactly did that marketing piece resonate with that potential buyer to get them to contact us. Understanding, was it because of a simple color or a drop shadow on something that, had a better pop than when it was flat? Whatever it is for your marketing and sales things, you just got to make sure that you understand exactly what that is. And that's going to be the hardest part, is figuring that out. But once you do, you got to be consistent with it. You got to follow the rules, and you got to do it every time, inside and out, over and over and over. Again, it takes almost 2 years to perfect a good selling system. I don't care what anybody tells you. By the time your company implements something rolls it through, shuffles out old salespeople and new salespeople in, goes through the management having to learn it and the owners having to disagree on it or whatever it is. By the time you work your way all the way back around through it, you're going to have a couple of years into most good, high-quality selling systems. So be thinking about that when you're listening to the gurus out there that got the fail-safe, the absolute silver bullet answer to this. Ask some of those questions. Ask them, okay, what kind of resources do I need to support this? What kind of infrastructure do I need to be able to make this work? What kind of management do I need? How involved is my sales manager going to have to? Do I have to have a sales manager? Or can I do it? If I do it, how much of my time is it going to take? Can I still run my business and do that? You've got to understand these things before you go jumping all in to somebody's, surefire system. I'm not saying that those systems don't work. Just make sure that you understand that they're for you and they're for you right now. Maybe you need to work to get to that. Maybe they're smaller than you are. And maybe they're not even scalable. That's another thing is this, when I get there, am I maxed out? Is this a scalable system? Because so many times I see them where it's only as good as the talent that you put into place. It's only as good as if you've got 3 or 4 or however many you got, surefire, top producing closers, salesmen that follow this system, then great. But if it isn't a system that allows you to grow those people into better and take other people who don't have that specific amount of talent, they're not the 1%ers out there, those guys that no matter what, they could sell anything to anybody. If it's dependent upon those types of guys, it's going to be a problem because those types of guys aren't as easy to come by and you can't manufacture and scale that very easily.
We were going to talk about, your marketing strategy, what all you're trying to accomplish, and maybe what the best things to work into that are just based on how you're going to run. I think that it doesn't do any good to deploy a bunch of marketing strategy if the other things you're doing, the way you're operating your sales side of things, aren't in line with it,
Yeah.
So what kind of is your approach right now? But here's the thing, Joey. Everything you do has to work together. So you can't just take one piece like I just gave you and plug it in because it sounds great. You see what I'm saying? You gotta build around that, and you gotta have everything else that works with that. So you need to set up your sales presentation accordingly. You need to set up your pre-closing process accordingly, your closing process accordingly, and work that through with your team so that they know exactly how to do that, because that's a little bit more like mechanical, right? You got to make sure that you're turning the wrenches exactly the right way, or that can go sideways, or you won't know why it's not working if you guys aren't on the same page with it. But I think that in an environment like you're in, that can work great. But you have to make sure that everybody understands all of what you're doing, not just not the part they want to hear, not the part you want to hear, exactly what the thought process is behind it and how to execute it, or don't even start.
Okay. Should we go a little more balls to the wall than that? For the first month, just to try to catch some traction and get it out there. Or is that enough for the initial push?
If it was me, I'd be looking at what I can do, but I'd be throwing what I got at it right now because you've built all this brand, you've built all this stuff. Now it's time to go. You had a huge hailstorm drop right in your lap. It's probably not the time to sit back and figure it out. And even if you got to run a lot of these appointments yourself, Joey, to feel better about it, or just give them to your top dogs, for a while, that's what I would be doing.
Are you the person to be able to scale it? It's okay if you're not, but you got to understand where you're at. Is that your skill set or not? If you're not capable of that, that's fine. Just find the person who is, or get your guru to teach you how to manage that properly. The management piece of it is so commonly overlooked because any good marketing and sales plan strategy is the foundation of it is that you can dissect it, you can break it down, and you can manage down on it. And that's how you have success with it, because you can get the metrics that you need from it and then be able to replicate that over and over. The biggest thing that I can't even stress enough is that when you get this into place, you have to work a plan. You've got the amazing marketing and sales strategy in place, but where are your goals? What are you trying to get to? And how are you using this tool to get you there? Because it doesn't do you any good to have a great marketing and sales strategy in place if you don't even know where you're trying to go to. So what you need to do is you got to reverse engineer your goals. You got to figure out, hey, we're trying to do $10 million this year. Our average product is a $10,000 product. That means, we're going to have to do this many jobs, whatever that math is, and you got to figure out how you're going to get there using this system. So you're going to have to reverse engineer that down to, we close at this percent now, which means that we're going to have to run, if we're going to get 100 jobs, we'll close at 30%. We got to get 300 leads for our people. So then once we get the 300 people leads, then we'll close 100 jobs. You got to work all of that through. And then you got to make sure when you're implementing this, that the way things were marketed is in line with the way you're going to sell it. And the easiest way I can explain this to make it all make sense is that if you're doing door-to-door versus if you're generating leads and handing leads off to your salespeople, there's two different things there. If you're going to hand somebody a lead and you're going to say, go out in this appointment, go out in this lead, you can have a different level of expectation from that salesperson. You're giving them this opportunity. You're paying for it. You can expect them to do certain things. You can expect them to report back in a certain way and to follow a specific sales strategy and system and plan so that you can then manage down and figure out why you are or why you're not meeting those goals. And that's where you got to understand that these two have to go hand in hand. Don't just pick the best things that you've ever heard of and try to slam it all together and think it's going to work, because it's not.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another episode of the Daily Push. If you like this video, you can find more videos just like it over here. And please comment and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I promise our content's going to get a whole lot better.